Yeah, I would say it's a multicultural household that you have.
Definitely, but well, actually, culturally too, there were quite a lot of similarities because, like for example, we both grew up watching Bollywood movies, even
Me
though
too.
neither of us.
Hello, everyone. I am Daratai, owner and intercultural trainer at Pro Compass Coaching and Training. Now here at the Crossroads, I have a heart-to-heart and a one-to-one chats with internationals from all around the world, as well as locals here in the Netherlands, on what it is like to live, work, study, or build businesses here in the Netherlands or abroad. Now, in today's episode, I will be having that chat with an illustrator and graphic designer from the UK. And now she lives in the Netherlands. Now, please join me in welcoming my guest for today, Heenah. Heenah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here because I know that this will be a fun chat show because I find that we have a lot of common ground, you know, and I'm very curious of you, and I'm sure my viewers are also pretty curious of you. So tell me more, or tell us more about yourself, where you're from, you know, and your story.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Heenah, as you mentioned already. I'm from the UK. I've been living in the Netherlands for nearly 5 years now. Originally, I'm from London, so you know the big busy capital. Quite different to what I'm used to here now in the Netherlands. I originally came here for love, I guess. I met my husband online. He's Dutch, like half Surinamese, half Guyanese, and yeah, so we met online. And then 5 years later, like we were married, and I was moving to the Netherlands. So yeah, that's my principal reason for being here. But I also, at the same time, I was in the more transitional phase in my life. So I started to do my master's here in Amsterdam, actually. So yeah, when I came to the Netherlands, I had my husband here, and I had university going on.
How would you describe the last 5 years from London to Leiden? Probably that's going to be the title of this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's been a huge transition, to be honest, because I wasn't straight from London directly to Leiden. When I first moved here, my husband, he's from this smallish town in North Holland called Schagen. I'm still trying to, it's a bit of a tough one for like a new person to Dutch.
Yeah, all the G's, right?
Exactly, yeah. So that was quite a sort of rural area of the country, lots of polder, lots of farms, like very beautiful little town, like really nice town square. The community is quite tight knit and everyone seems to know each other. So it was completely, for me, it felt like it was the opposite of what I was used to in London, to be honest, which was huge, millions of people living there. And like you barely know anyone on the street kind of thing. But no, it was nice having that experience of living in a smaller town.
Right. It must be really different from the busy big city of London, and then to transport yourself to Schagen. If I
Exactly.
myself have problems.
Yeah.
Was it? I remember I have a very similar experience as you because my husband's also Dutch. And when I come from a big city state, Singapore itself super busy. And then when I first moved here 6 years ago, my husband's family, he's from also a small town, quiet town in Oude. Oh gosh! And I spent the first months. I enjoyed the serenity, but it was very different to being in the city all your life. And I found myself from time to time missing the sounds of the buses so on the road. Do you have a similar experience when you were in Schagen?
Oh, well, I don't think I missed the buses and the hustle and bustle and all the London transports and that craziness so much, but it was really different for me, definitely, especially number one, being a foreigner, there weren't too many of us around there, but also like being an Asian foreigner, so there aren't as many aren't as many brown people there, but my husband is one of them. And his family are quite embedded in the community. They're really like popular with the people around there, and they're well known. Especially, yeah, something I had to get used to is that it's quite a community that's centered around sports. So my
Yes.
husband, yeah, he's nuts about football. Amazingly, he actually loves English football the most. He's a big fan of Manchester United, which is a bit different because most people here, I think they would probably support Ajax, Feyenoord, the big Dutch teams.
Very patriotic of their country.
Yeah, but he always loved English football. But he's always been playing football here since he was a kid. Most of his friends, they grew up playing football since they were 5 years old on the streets together. And yeah, they've been friends for what, 30 years now or something. So yeah, I was coming into sort of a very close-knit group of friends who yeah, their relationships were sort of based around sports and community, getting together, having a drink, having a borrel. I don't drink, so that was something that I mean, I could still go along and drink a Coke or a water or something. My husband doesn't drink either, so that wasn't too much of a problem. It was fine. We could still hang out and everything. But yeah, it was very different. But the people there are really, really lovely, really close. It is a little bit harder. I found it a little bit harder with the Dutch because I just moved freshly over, and yeah, my Dutch wasn't that great. I mean, it's still not that great, but it was even worse back then.
Right.
But they were, even still, they were very accommodating and willing to speak English for me. And I think actually I probably learned a bit more. I probably boosted my Dutch skills a bit more being there because everyone was talking Dutch to each other there.
That's true.
So I was exposed to it a lot.
Yeah, because when you're immersed in the situation and you have like almost no choice but to practice the language, right? It helps with using the language more, I would say, as compared to like right now we live in Leiden, there's more people who are able to speak English.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, more people willing to speak English there. But I was usually the only foreigner in the group most of the time.
Yeah, totally understand. When I was in the small town, I was also the only brown person there, and I remember it was a different experience. I would say, like I remember when I first moved to the Netherlands, I was preparing for was it a 10 km run?
Oh wow! Okay, cool.
At that point, 6 years ago, so I was practicing running every morning, and there will be this cute old man. He'll be sitting on a bench and he would be encouraging me from the side, which I thought that was really sweet because I had no idea of each other. You know, like if this were to happen in a big city, probably it would be pretty scary. But I bet it's a small town living, right? So you kind of know each other. And yeah, I think small town living definitely has its perks.
Yeah, I think so too, definitely. And then so we were living there for 9 months, and then we moved to Leiden because my husband's job is in Leiden.
Right.
And at the time when I was in university as well, it would make it easier for me to travel from Leiden to Amsterdam on the train and stuff, because otherwise it's like an hour and a half each way from Schagen to Amsterdam. So,
oh yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
How was life as a student, a university student in the Netherlands? How would you describe?
Yeah, it was great, to be honest. I didn't really notice much difference between like my bachelor's in London, for example, because I mean, at the time I was studying architecture before as well. So that course, it was really intense. Everyone was focused on the work and stuff. And I don't think there seemed to be as many of these social gatherings. Maybe there was, but maybe I just missed out on it. I didn't notice. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't find myself having much time for socializing so much outside of university. But I think that's the vibe I got from everyone. We were all really busy and really swamped with the workload. And it was like a special sort of school where you work during the day, like certain days a week, and then you go to school in the evening. So it was a kind of night school plus 1 day a week. So yeah, my time was basically divided between like going to work at an architecture office, then going to school, and then free time just doing as much of the coursework as I could do possibly. So
Oh, it
yeah,
sounds intense.
it was. I don't think I really got the chance to sit and register how I was fitting in and integrating, moving countries and everything, until after
Mm,
I left the university and then had a
right.
chance to mull over that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, at least I moved here, and then I had things to throw myself into straight away. So
Right.
helped.
And now when you look back, how do you feel about it? Because you say you didn't have had time to mull over. So what do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, there was definitely a period of sort of exhaustion recovery that I had to do after that. But no, I think there were quite a lot of positive experiences being part of that university, being making the friends there and stuff. Like I'm in touch with a couple of people from there as well, who are
Mm,
also internationals. There were quite a lot of internationals there as well, so I think that helped. And everything was taught in English,
mm,
so I could just sort of fit in quite easily.
yes. So some things helped with your transition here, like there's the wide usage of English and you felt
Mhm.
comfortable around the people in
Yeah.
university. Yeah, what were some of the difficulties you faced as a university student here?
Oh, as a university student, well, with that particular university, there was the
Mm,
whole issue of being really tired, of course. But
of
then
course.
I think the traveling from Schagen took a while, so
Right.
that was a big chunk of my day, like 3 hours on the train and stuff. I don't know if I've really had any other issues beyond just managing the workload, to be honest, I suppose.
Right.
Like, because people, like, especially in the, like, when you're trying to find a job, um,
Mm,
I guess, yeah. So it took me maybe a little bit longer than it would have taken a native Dutch person, obviously, to find a job working in architecture offices. But around the cities, the big cities like Amsterdam, The Hague, and stuff, a lot of international people go and work in architecture offices there. So that was okay.
yeah.
It was fun.
You mentioned that there could be a possibility that you had a more difficult time compared to a Dutch student. Is it because of the language issue, or what do you think it was?
I think a little bit of that, maybe also a lot of the team building stuff, like is around like going out having borrels and stuff together,
Mm,
for example. So as a non-drinker, like I suppose I decline the invitation sometimes, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I understand that because I don't drink myself. And and the Dutch love borrel. Like you have
yeah,
a Friday borrel. Borrel basically means like you go get drinks with
mhm,
your colleagues after work. You get little small fried snacks and then you have
yeah,
drinks.
with the
You know,
ball and everything, yeah.
right? But like increasingly now there are more options for non-alcoholic
Mm,
drinks. So that's
yeah,
very useful for people like us.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
So
yeah,
definitely there's a lot more acceptance, but definitely we cannot run away from the fact that there is some kind of a drinking, I won't say culture, but a drinking activity, that
yes,
people like to partake in. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's something that for new people into the Netherlands who don't drink, yeah, you should just look out for it and then just choose for non-alcohol if that's
yeah,
what.
exactly,
Yeah, and also during borrel, that's when you bond, right? You bond with
yeah.
others. Yeah.
True. Yeah, that is something so working here in the Netherlands, it was quite different to my experience in work in the UK. The bonding is sort of more expected to happen outside of work a bit here, like
Mm.
with the borrels, for example, or team building trips out to other museums, buildings and stuff to see new architecture. But then at work, I suppose like everyone was a bit more like buckle down, get your work done, sort of, and just focus and everything. But in London, like what I was used to was people goofed around a lot more, maybe sometimes. Like
Ah.
you had a bit of banter going on especially when the bosses left the office, like people would joke around and stuff like that. But maybe that's just my experience with the particular offices that I worked at. Maybe it's not,
Mm.
really wide, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that could be it because like back in Singapore,
Mhm.
we in Singapore, we also bond with our colleagues during work and also after work, because colleagues are the people that you spend most of your time with.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
over here, definitely there is some kind of a separation between a friend and a colleague. And I think that is fair to say that, I would say. Yeah. You mentioned that your husband is Dutch. So can you share with us, how do you guys meet?
Oh, we met online. So basically it was this chat room called Omegle. And basically it connects you to just a random stranger in the world, and then you just via text you can just talk to them. So yeah, that's how we met back nearly 10 years ago now. And then we just clicked, had a little rapport going, and then eventually we started to meet up. So the first time I ever came to the Netherlands, it was just for one day. I flew in the morning, stayed there for the whole day, and then just came back in the evening. Yeah, and he did the same as well. He came to London first just for one day, and then we just started eventually to make little trips of it, come and stay at each other's with our families and stuff. And then
it's really sweet. So for quite some time you had a long distance relationship.
Yeah, and I suppose it gave me a bit of I had like mini adjustment periods with moving to the Netherlands, of being there. So it wasn't like the first time I ever moved here. It was like completely brand new, fresh to me. Like I'd met like his friends before, the family, everything. I'd stayed in like his parents' house before and everything. So I think that helped. I had a little bit of a transition building up towards it.
I'm glad to hear that you had a family that was very welcoming, or family and friends already here in the Netherlands, very welcoming to you coming into the Netherlands. And how would you describe having a long distance relationship? How long was it before you actually moved?
About 5 years, I guess.
Wow,
We did it long
amazing.
distance, I suppose.
Well
Yeah.
done. Not easy.
I know, yeah.
I can definitely say it from first experience as well, because me and my husband, we did 7 years long distance, and it's not something that I would recommend.
All right, yeah. No,
how about yours? 5 years long distance is really long.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the first 2 years, like we hadn't met, but we were talking all the time. And then after we started to meet, it would be really nice. We'd have those moments where we'd look forward to meeting up with each other, going to stay over, and yeah, just getting to see each other. But I suppose, well, it wasn't too tough because I didn't know the opposite. I didn't like we started from long distance. It's not like we knew each other to begin with and then had to go long distance or anything. So it just felt like it could only get better from that point.
Right.
And then I always, yeah, exactly. I always remember thinking as well, like there are people who live in the same country, like in America, for example, and then they're still like, and they're long distance, they're much further distance between like two different states, for example, on the East Coast and West Coast, than what we have. Like the UK and the Netherlands, it's really easy to get to.
Yeah, just across the pond.
Exactly. Yeah, 1 hour on a plane, it's fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of us who move to join a partner at some point of time have a part of the relationship long distance. And for some of us, it's difficult. I mean, there are ups and downs. There are days where it's really good, and there are days that are really bad. Some of us have to deal with different time zones. Like for yourself, it's 1 hour.
Yeah.
Mine was, I think, was 6-7 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, that was pretty huge. 13 hours flight, But no matter what, I think there are definitely pros and cons to being in a long distance relationship. I find that when you have a long distance relationship, you somehow become really good communicators.
Definitely, yeah. I was going to say,
right? Because you have to talk it out.
Exactly, yeah. No, that was good for us to have to spend that time talking and getting to know each other that way.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely different until you meet each other for the first time, And how was it like for you to meet for the first time? Did it fit into your expectations?
Oh yeah, well, definitely. It was really lovely meeting the first time, and it felt so comfortable. I just, within the first few minutes, I was like, yeah, I know this guy already. like it's exactly like how it is when we're talking online and stuff. I mean, of course, it's always a bit like strange seeing someone in the flesh for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, and then getting used to that. But no, like we just carried on where we left off. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's nice, right? When you come off the screen and then the person you meet, oh yeah, we can just carry on our conversation we had an hour ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
On the television, on the laptop. You mentioned that your husband is of mixed race, half Guyanese and half what you were saying?
Surinamese.
Half Guyanese and half Surinamese. And what about your ethnic background?
So my parents, my mum and dad, are both from Mauritius, which is like tiny little island not far off Madagascar, like a little tropical island and stuff. But the interesting thing is that so the like both Mauritius and then Suriname and Guyana, they have Indian populations living in them, so genetically Indian the population. So I guess me and my husband, we have a similar racial profile.
Right.
I think even, to be honest, the Indian people who went to Suriname or Mauritius, they're like from the same region of India as well, like Bihar. But I don't know that much about my genetic ancestry or anything, so.
Right. So like genetic wise, pretty similar background, but like culturally it's very different, right? Yeah. I would say it's a multicultural household that you have.
Definitely, but well, actually, culturally too, there were quite a lot of similarities because, like for example, we both grew up watching Bollywood movies. Even though, neither of us we were from India exactly, but the Indian culture is really like prevalent in sort of Surinamese, Guyanese culture, Mauritian culture,
right?
And both being Muslims too, so we have a lot of religious similarities as well. So there was a lot that we had in common. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Exactly.
What are some of the traditional or cultural traditions that you observe, or even religious traditions that you observe back in the UK? And are you still able to observe them here in the Netherlands as well?
Oh, definitely. So cultural stuff, there's not, like in terms of like Mauritian background things, not so much
British things.
Yeah, or British things either. Well, mostly the religious stuff. We like celebrating Eid, going to the mosque and stuff, Ramadan.
Right.
That's something I could smoothly transition over to here because my husband, he's also Muslim. We could do Ramadan together, celebrate Eid together. So that felt quite smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also observe Ramadan, right? Back in Singapore, the hours are shorter, especially if it's held during the summer. And I remember the first year I moved here, and we had Ramadan in the summer, and we had to break fast. I think it was like 10:30 in the evening, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is really a challenge. It was a shock for me, definitely. But over the years, it gotten better. But that was something that it's a bit more difficult for me coming from Asia, where we know back in Asia the sun will set at like 7.
Okay.
Isn't it a wonderful thing for the sun to set at the same time all year?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does, right?
But then so I suppose now it is getting better. Now it's sort of moving into March and stuff. Then I guess in another 10 years time we'll be back in the position of having really hot long Ramadans in the summer.
Yeah, I'll take it 1 year at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take it 1 year at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us as well, like yourself, we move for love. That's one of the first thing you said, right? Do you have if you could give advice to somebody who's about to move for love to the Netherlands or somewhere else, what are the first few things that you would definitely want to share or like want to give advice on?
So yeah, that's a good question. I think having that transition period, if you can, where you are like gradually visiting and staying for a bit every now and then and getting used to just the areas, the surroundings, what it's like to be in another country. If you can do that, I think that's really helpful. I mean, I know maybe some people are like opposite ends of the globe, to be honest, so it might not be as easy, but that really helped me. And then gosh, yeah, I think just coming here, and if you can find a community to get involved with, um, try and make friends. I think that really helps, because sometimes if you're just here and it's you on your own, and then like you're one new person trying to fit into like your partner's whole life and their whole circle and their family. So it's nice to start like eventually getting some friends of your own, doing some things for yourself still, to like keep cultivating yourself and keep things interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I know from what you said that your husband is very much into football. So I remember you say that he volunteers to coach a football team for the youth, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
for the youth and for seniors too. He coached
Wow,
two teams.
pretty cool. So can I safely assume that you don't coach this football team, and you have found your own like tribe or activities?
Yeah, definitely. He's more sports and I'm more arts and culture kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and working on the business, of course, I guess as well. That's been something, going to business networking, doing things like Toastmasters, working on public speaking, actually.
Yeah.
To be honest, we both started Toastmasters together, me and my husband, so he joined in as well. So I think definitely that's another tip. If you can start doing some new things together as a couple, with things that you're both new to,
Yeah.
I think that helps as well.
And then slowly find your own path.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your company. And you mentioned that you go for business networking, and then you're now part of Toastmasters. Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. So I basically, after I decided I didn't really want to be an architect anymore, after the crazy intense experience of that school, and just thinking over things in my head and like how I want my career to go, I decided to do a course in illustration instead. I wanted to like really tap into like I think what was my childhood dream and my passions, to like draw and make stuff. So I did an illustration masters, and it was online, but then also at the same time the pandemic hit and everything was online. So I think everyone was having the same experience at the time. Yeah, I finished that. I graduated that last year, and then straight away I just went straight to the KVK. And then I got signed up, got my business number, KVK number, everything, and I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna take the dive. I'm not going to wait. Otherwise, if I'm just feeling like if I just wait for me to be ready, it'll never
I'll never be ready.
Exactly. Yeah, it's never ready. So I did that. So I've been about a year in business now, and I went to Toastmasters. I was doing Toastmasters at the same time. And there I met this lovely lady called Julie, who was running a business networking group in Leiden. And it was great. It was international. She's English too. So it was nice to go there and like have all the English speaking vibes. Toastmasters is in English too. So that was great too as well. Yeah, so from Buzz Networking, that's where I met you, of course.
Yes.
And then yeah, I met up with lots of other people from there, and I managed to get projects going from my connections there. So I'm working on a children's book with someone at the moment who she's a cancer survivor. I'm also a cancer survivor. I had cancer like 10 years ago. So we're working on a children's book that's aimed at, for people who have cancer. So it's a tough project, definitely, but it's one that's close to heart. And then I'm also working on a project where with someone who's like a dance instructor and like does theatre, dancing and choreography. We're going to be possibly making a shadow puppet theatre workshop for
very cool.
Yeah, for kids in international schools to begin with. So yeah, there'll be more opportunities to go around and like meet people in the area, reach out to like kids and help promote the arts and doing shadow puppets and fun things like that. So yeah, that's where it's going.
Really cool. And like your background, this is pretty much what you specialize in, right? Children illustrations.
Yeah, exactly. The kids aspect of it, I think. So maybe that's I felt like that was always a little bit missing when I was doing architecture, like the sort of fun, wild, imaginative, colorful stuff from architecture, because architecture is it can be a very serious profession sometimes.
Right.
Creative, but like quite highbrow, quite serious. But yeah, it's just great to be able to just tap into doing things that I love, like the books that I loved as a kid, games, TV, music, all that influenced me, and then bring those experiences back. I used to be a girl guiding leader. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes, I was a Girl Guides teacher.
Oh really? Oh, I was as well actually. I ran for the youngest group called Rainbows, so 5 to
Right,
7 year olds. I ran that when I was 18, so it would
right.
be nice to go back into schools again and like work with kids and do things like that.
Yeah, I am really surprised, when people think of girl guiding, they maybe have like the misconception that it's really very feminine things going on, but to
Or
be
sell.
honest, there's a lot of survival skills like
Yeah,
making fire,
exactly. Yeah.
putting up a tent, and yeah, it's really
Going.
quite rigorous.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
really admire the students that I had for girl guiding. And in Singapore, the
Mhm.
girl guides are very famous for their mint cookies. Every year
Oh
they
yeah.
sell cookies,
Do they
and
sell?
the teachers love it. We buy it like in tins, and the girl guide cookie tins are
Yeah.
beautifully illustrated. I wonder whether that's the same in the UK. Yeah.
Oh no.
Mm.
Well, I guess with the age group that I was working with, they were too young to go selling cookies
Ah,
anyway.
that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if the selling cookies thing is much of a big thing in the UK. Like in America, every time I watch American shows, that seems to be like the trope of going around and selling boxes of cookies and
Oh,
stuff.
that's true. That's true.
It was definitely still the whole going camping, learning
Right.
survival skills, but then just also like the bonding. It was really nice to just encourage them to just do that together, team building activities,
That's
building
true.
self-esteem and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I still remember my girl guides fondly because they are very always on the go. They're willing
mhm.
to try it out, and I think that's part of being a girl guides, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, in the last 5 years, it sounds like there's like a huge transition. You moved for love. You came to the
Mhm.
Netherlands to study for your masters. You did two
Mhm.
masters, masters in architecture, masters in illustrations, I think, and
Yeah.
then now you start your own company. Like, wow, how do you feel now about looking back and then in those 5 years, and then there's so many big steps that you've taken?
Oh gosh, I guess it's hard to. I feel like I'm still like in it so much at the moment. Maybe like later when I look back on it in retrospect, then it's a bit easier to understand. But it feels like a bit of a whirlwind, but a
Yes.
positive whirlwind. It's been amazing, especially probably like doing things like Toastmasters and stuff. There was a period of time when I suppose I had a sort of social anxiety. I think,
Mm,
maybe during COVID as well, everyone suffered from that a little bit.
right.
But yeah, just being able to like finding the community in Leiden, so Toastmasters, that was the first step for me. And then like being able to just practice seeing people again and talking to people and just having a safe space where like I felt it was fine for me to talk English because like everyone there is talking English anyway. Although in the Netherlands it's always safe to talk English anyway because everyone here is so like they have great English literacy and
Right.
very accommodating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I'm very happy that you brought up the fact that you had a period of social anxiety, because this is, I think, very important for those of our viewers to understand that moving abroad, yes, it can be a huge adventure. There's a lot of things that you can try, but
yeah,
there are also some struggles, and anxiety can be one of them because you're suddenly transplanted into a foreign environment, and
yeah,
it can be very unnerving.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the case for me. There was probably a point in time when I would go out of my apartment door to go to the letterbox. Then I'd hear people coming and I'd run back inside because like, oh, people. And like, what if I have to like talk to them and then I can't speak Dutch?
Dutch.
Like
Oh,
I know. So it was yeah, a bit nerve-wracking that, but yeah, then just getting embedded in the community, just reaching out, making friends, it really helped. And anyway, like I'm still trying to work on my Dutch skills at the moment. And hopefully I can get them up to a really good level where I can talk confidently to people.
Right.
But even still, the funny thing is, like, it's actually helped with my confidence back in the UK. So when
Right.
I visit now, when I hear people, when people are walking down the street and I can understand all of their conversations, like, yes, finally, like I can understand what people are saying, and I feel like I can approach anyone now and talk to anyone in the UK, because it's just like such a relief to like talk English, and it's just easier. And now, so yeah.
I really, I really like hearing about your progression in your transition, you know, and I wonder, would you have some advice to those of us who are just about to move to the Netherlands or to another country? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I think for me, I used to like call myself this introvert and like think I was like too cool and like, oh, I don't need as much interaction with people as other people do. But I think really finding a community, just making friends and having people in your life is super important. Just like going on places just online, like meetup.com, on Facebook or something, on social media, finding groups where people are willing to meet up. It's just really been a lifeline for moving here and making a good transition. So yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah, don't be afraid to also be the first to reach out and like try and say hello or initiate something, because the majority of the time people are yearning for that too.
Yeah, that's right. You really took the words out of my head when you say, don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid
Yeah,
to take the risk of a risk in meeting new people,
yeah,
because you never know whether you found your tribe, right?
yeah, exactly.
And with that said, would you like to say anything to your friends and family around the world before we
uh,
end this off?
oh gosh, yeah, I don't know, just to have a lovely day. I suppose, yeah. And
Yeah.
thanks for listening. If you listen to this, it's nice. Yeah.
And I know you speak Mauritian Creole,
Mhm.
right? And I'm very curious. Can you say something to our viewers in Mauritian Creole?
Yeah, I could say bonne journée. It's basically French, to be honest, as well.
Yeah.
Like Mauritian Creole is kind of like French a bit, so that means have a nice day as well, I
Oh,
guess.
bonne journée.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, bonne journée, viewers. I hope you have a great time listening to me and Heenah. And I want to like to thank Heenah for being part of the show today. And if anybody would like to look for an illustrator and a graphic designer, her details are right on below us. And thank you again, Heenah, and to the rest of you. See you next time. And bonne journée.
Thank you so much as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.